Let's get straight to the point. If the XRP Ledger manages to capture 20% of the tokenized real-world asset market by 2026, the potential upside for XRP's price could be staggering. We're talking about a hypothetical scenario where XRP might reach as high as $134.50 per token, based on certain calculations. But before we get carried away, let's break down how this number comes about and whether it actually makes sense. Recently, Ripple published a report emphasizing the role of crypto custody. According to Ripple, custody is not just a feature, but the gateway for institutions entering the market. The firm argued that proper custody allows institutions to manage risk, remain compliant with regulations, and design new business models. Ripple then connected this need for secure custody directly to the expected boom in tokenized real-world assets, or RWA. Now, Ripple's CTO David Schwartz has openly stated since 2023 that the XRP Ledger is pivoting towards RWA tokenization. This is a significant shift because tokenized assets, anything from real estate and commodities to treasury bonds, are increasingly seen as the next big thing in blockchain adoption. Interestingly, Bitwise, the well-known investment manager, also supported this view just last month, saying that buying XRP could serve as a straightforward way to gain exposure to the tokenization market. At the moment, the tokenized RWA market is valued at $26.44 billion, based on data from RWA.xyz. Of this, XRPL only accounts for $302.4 million, or roughly 1.1% of the market. So, XRPL's current share is small, but this is where the speculation about growth comes in. Now, let's look at the math that made headlines. With XRP trading at $2.90 and holding a market cap of $172.6 billion from a circulating supply of 59.41 billion tokens, some analysts turn to AI for projections. When asked about what could happen if XRPL captured 20% of the RWA market by 2026, Google Gemini gave an interesting, though cautious, answer. Gemini suggested that the RWA market could expand to $70 billion by 2026. If XRPL captured 20% of that, its share would be $14 billion. Then Gemini applied a ratio. Today's XRP market cap compared to XRPL's current RWA exposure. Right now, XRP's $172.6 billion market cap is tied to only $302.4 million in RWA. That's a ratio of about 571 to 1. Applying the same ratio to a $14 billion RWA share would result in XRP's market cap soaring to nearly $8 trillion. Divided across its circulating supply, XRP's price would hit around $134.50. Of course, this is where we need to be cautious. Even Gemini stressed that this model is highly simplified. It assumes a linear relationship between XRP's RWA share and its token price, which isn't necessarily accurate. For example, XRPL's RWA value already jumped to over $300 million recently, but this had almost no impact on XRP's price. So, the question remains, would a larger spike in RWA adoption really translate into such exponential price gains? There are several challenges here. First, RWA tokenization is still in its early stages, and while the potential is massive, the regulatory environment and adoption speed remain uncertain. Ripple itself continues to fight legal battles with the US SEC, which could influence how quickly institutions adopt XRPL for RWA purposes. Second, the assumption that market cap will scale proportionally with RWA integration ignores other factors such as liquidity, speculation, and utility. However, what this discussion really highlights is the growing narrative that XRP could become more than just a bridge currency for cross-border payments. If the XRPL indeed becomes a major hub for tokenized real-world assets, the demand dynamics for XRP might shift dramatically. That said, we need to keep in mind Ripple's own caution. Their recent report framed custody and compliance as the keys for institutional involvement. Without these, scaling RWA tokenization will be an uphill battle. In summary, the headline number of $134.50 per XRP by 2026 is certainly exciting, but should be viewed more as a thought experiment than a reliable forecast. What is undeniable, though, is that Ripple, Bitwise, and even external tools like Google Gemini are pushing the conversation toward RWA tokenization as the next big catalyst for XRP's growth. The real question is not whether XRP could hit $134, but whether XRPL can position itself as a leader in this $70 billion market by 2026. Because if it does, even without hitting those extreme price targets, XRP could see a transformation in its role within the broader crypto ecosystem.